Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how to configure SSH. So SSH is just like a telnet. It is a protocol which helps you to connect remote devices on a secure session. So let's go through how SSH can be configured and how we can achieve the remote access from your client machine to the server or any remote devices in your network. So I'm going to use Cisco Packet Tracer to create a small lab environment in which we can configure SSH and show how it works. Let's begin. So this is my Cisco Packet Tracer tool. Let me quickly create a topology. So we need a switch as well to connect our client missions. Let's have two client missions. Let's connect them all together. Yes. All right. Let's give an IP address to all the devices. So they should be on the same subnet for this sake of discussion. So let's say we have 1.1.1.0 network. 1.0, sorry, 1. This is the first IP. So we are giving 1. And let's be the default gateway is the router IP, which is 10.1.10. So go to the next PC. Assign IP 1.1.1.2. Sorry. Default gateway is 1.1.10. So let's go to router and design IP interface brief. So the first interface has been connected to the switch for these two devices. So interface GI0/0/0 assign IP address 1.1.1.10 255.0.0.0. So we have configured this 1.1.1.10 has the IP address. This is going to be this IP or this device is going to act as a gateway for these two client machines, PC7 and PC8. So let's check whether we are able to ping from PC7 the gateway, whether the gateway is reachable or not. We have configured the gateway already. So ping 1.1.1.10. So it is pingable. Similarly here we can achieve the connectivity. Yes. So the gateway is reachable. So this is a normal setup in which we have all the connectivities. So now this device wants to reach this device, or this device wants to remotely access this device via SSH. So that's what we are going to configure. For that we need to configure this device with SSH configuration. So the prerequisites for SSH configuration, or the mandatory as well configurations for SSH on this device should be: we have to configure the host name, we have to configure the domain name, as well as we need to enable the secret password, so that because this is SSH basically is a secured session, so it's a secured connection. So this device should have a maximum security or some basic securities to be prerequisitely configured, which is like host names, and then it has to identify this device remotely, and also to ensure this should be belong to a domain in which SSH can access, and also it should have a enable secret password for this local authorization, everything, and the username and password for this device has to be configured along with the SSH configuration. That's what we are going to see. So let's configure one by one. So host name, let's give a host name as JSMH, and then enable secret password. Let's give a password as test12. Just give test. Okay. Let's check the password. Oops. Enable test. So it's working. And then go to configure, and then IP domain. IP domain name as cisco.com, just for the sake of conversation, and then What else we need to? We have configured the host name, we have configured enable secret password, we have configured a domain name for this SSH server, and we need to configure the username as well. Let's say username as admin and password is also admin for our sake of conversation. And then so these things are mandatory. So now let's get into the SSH configuration. So before that, what version of SSH we are going to configure? Let's say IP SSH version 2. Okay, and then go to configure, go to crypto configuration, and then you are going to give the key. So we are going to configure the RSA keys for the user and server authentication. This is the exact command which is going to enable us the SSH on this device with the key pairs. So crypto key generate, and then if you give a question mark, it gives the RSA by default. So then you can give, so this is the modulus which we need to mention here. If you enter here, it will give a default modulus of 512, but we will go for a, normally most of the network will be configured with this modulus, that is 1024. We'll go with that. That's it. So now if you see SSH5, SSH2 has been enabled. It has been successfully configured. So we have configured host name, enable password, version details, and then we have configured the key pairs for user and server to authenticate each other. And then we are going to give the login, local login with the line VTY. So the line VTY is the one which is used for telnet and SSH remote access. We need to use those line sessions, VTY sessions, to achieve the remote connection. So let's go to line VTY 0 to 50. Then just give local login, which will login local, which will help us to use the local information which you have already mentioned, username, admin, password, admin. Those details will be asked when you connect remotely. Then and one more thing we need to configure is transport input SSH. So this will help us to enable the SSH for transporting SSH protocol for for transport packets, or to form a session between these client machine and this device. So this is all the complete configuration for SSH. So let's check whether we are able to achieve the remote connection from the PC, any one of the PC. Okay, we have saved the configurations as well. So let's go to one of the PC, command. Then for SSH you need to use the command SSH-L, and then the username is admin, which we have configured, and then the IP for the remote device, which is 1.1.1.10 in our case. Enter. So it's asking for a password. We need to give admin. Yes, we are able to successfully SSH the router from your client machine. So the remote session has been achieved through SSH by this way. So you can see here enable, and then if you know the password as a authorized user, you will give test. You have logged into the router. You can see show IP interface brief. You can see all the details. If you want to modify your PC configuration, you can do it, because you have a full permission here since you have logged in with the enable password on the router. So let's say you are going to change the host name, JSON, just like that. Okay, so now it's been configured with this host name. So let's check whether we are able to see this changed host name on the other PC. Just to validate, just go here. This PC can also do a SSH admin 1.1.1.10, then admin enable. You can see, so the changed host name is reflecting here when we do a SSH session followed by the first PC. So this is how you can configure SSH on your network basically, and then achieve the remote access. I hope this video is useful to you to know more about the SSH configurations, and we can see more in detail about this SSH further videos. Thanks for listening to me.